It starts with one envelope in a mailbox and ends with a death that no one can explain. This is the story of the Circleville Letters. In 1976, Circleville, Ohio is a farm community of about 12,000 people. It's the kind of place where there aren't many strangers, and the biggest headlines come from county fairs, high school sports, agricultural festivals, that sort of thing. Mary Gillespie lives there and drives a school bus. Her husband Ron works construction. They have 2 kids and a simple small town kind of life. One afternoon, Mary finds an envelope in the mailbox. There's no return address. Inside is a letter written in big block letters with a black felt tip pen. The letter accuses her of having an affair with the local school superintendent. It tells her to stop, or the writer will reveal everything to the town. It also warns her not to tell anyone about the letter, or there'll be consequences. The thing is, Mary isn't actually having an affair. She thinks this letter is some kind of cruel joke, and she hides it in a drawer. A week later, though, another one arrives. And then another, and then another. Each has the same handwriting and the same message. The writer knows details that they really shouldn't. The route number of the bus she drives, when she leaves home for the day, where she parks her bus. Someone is watching her. It's now that she tells her husband Ron. He thinks it's a prank like Mary initially did. And then he gets one too. His says, make her admit the truth. It feels like an order, like a threat. They show the letters to close family and friends, including Ron's sister and her husband, Paul Freshauer. The family decides that they know who's behind these things and confronts that person in private. It's a name that's never made public. But the letters do stop. For a while. By spring, though, they start again. Now, others are getting them too. Neighbors, teachers, even school board members. And each of those letters has something personal in them, and each one claims to know something secret. People talk about it in grocery lines and barber shops. Postal workers start recognizing the handwriting on the outside of the envelope, so many of these things are coming in. And by fall, the town is taking this seriously. It's here that this story turns deadly. Ron Gillespie has had it. A year after the letters begin arriving, he's convinced he knows who's sending them, and he's determined to put a stop to this. On the night of August 19th, 1977, the phone at the Gillespie house rings. Ron answers. The person on the other end hangs up. This is the last straw for him. He tells his family that he's going to confront his suspect, but doesn't tell them who this person is. Ron takes his handgun and leaves in his pickup truck. A few hours later, police find Ron's truck crashed into a tree outside of town. Ron is dead in the driver's seat. The engine is still running. His gun is next to him. The safety is off. 1 round has been fired. There are no signs of any other vehicles or anyone else at the scene, so the county sheriff rules this an accident. The blood test shows alcohol, but his family says he has not been drinking, hadn't been drinking, and they were the last to see him. The phone call that sent him out that night is never traced. Ron is dead, the writer is still out there, and the letters continue to arrive in the mailboxes of Circleville's residents. People speak in low voices about them and how they must be behind Ron's death somehow. With the town on edge, police finally open an investigation. By now, more than 1,000 letters have been sent to teachers, to business owners, even to the police. Most of the secrets, they turn out to be lies, but they're written as if the writer knows everyone's life. Investigators from the county, the state, and even the FBI collect boxes of evidence, paper, ink, envelopes, and they still can't figure out who's doing this. But that's about to change. After Ron's death, the anonymous letters keep arriving. On any given day, anyone in Circleville can get one. The new batch accuses local officials of covering up the truth. They say Ron was murdered and the police know who did it. By 1979, investigators have collected hundreds of letters and envelopes. The postmarks come from different towns all over Ohio. There are no usable prints and no forensic evidence that helps. Investigators have nothing. And for years, the letters keep coming. And then, on February 7th, 1983, Mary Gillespie is driving her bus route when she sees a sign along the road. It's written in those same block letters, and it accuses her teenage daughter of what the very first letter accused Mary of, having an affair with the school superintendent. She stops the bus, steps out, and walks over to tear it down. It's then that she notices a small box behind the sign. When she starts to open it, she sees a gun inside. The gun is aimed at the sign, and around the trigger there's a string, and the other end of the string is attached to the sign, so whoever pulls the sign will set off the gun. It's a booby trap. Mary backs away and calls the police. They trace the gun's serial number. It belongs to Paul Freshour, Mary's brother-in-law, the same man who earlier helped Mary and Ron try to figure out who wrote those very first letters. When police confront Paul, he tells them that that gun is stolen. He lets them search his home. Inside, they find documents with handwriting that looks like what's in those letters. When they get to his garage, they find string that matches what was used on that roadside booby trap. The documents go to a forensic analyst who issues a report that says it's a likely match. Paul Freshour is arrested and charged with the attempted murder of Mary Gillespie. They say the sign in the booby trap were targeting her. Paul denies any knowledge or involvement. He goes to trial and it's a media circus. Cameras from all over Ohio show up. The prosecution shows the gun, the handwriting, and the photos of the trap. The defense says there's no direct proof or evidence that he built that trap or wrote any of those letters. The jury deliberates and finds him guilty. The judge gives him 7 to 25 years in prison. Paul gets locked up and the town breathes a little easier. But then, something happens that nobody expects. The letters begin again. After Paul Freshour goes to prison, the letters stop for a while. The town begins to move on. The local paper moves the story off the front page. Checking mailboxes becomes a normal thing to do again. A few months later, a postal clerk notices something familiar. A stack of envelopes with familiar block letters and black ink from a felt-tip pen. Within days, the letters are back in Circleville. Some arrive at local newspapers, others at police departments and public offices. One is addressed to the warden of the prison where Paul is being held. It reads, "Try and stop me. Authorities know that these letters can't be from Paul. He's in solitary confinement with no pens, no paper, no access to mail." After he's convicted, the FBI takes a look at the handwriting samples originally seized from Paul's house. And they weren't involved the first time. And their analysts can't definitively match Paul's writing to any of the letters, but they can't rule him out either, so they call the findings inconclusive. So why are the letters still coming and who's sending them? Nobody can explain it. Forensic tests don't help. Years pass, and the letters continue to arrive with no success in tracing them. The story turns into local legend. New families hear about it when they move to town. Everyone seems to know some version of what happened, and every few months, someone finds a new letter in their mailbox. If Paul isn't the writer of this new batch of letters, then someone else is. And whoever that is watching the people of Circleville. The letters continue into the 90s. Producers from Unsolved Mysteries come to town to film an episode about all this. As they're preparing to shoot, a new letter arrives. It's a warning for the production crew, telling them to stay away. This one comes from Columbus, Ohio. Same handwriting, same ink. Paul Freshour still in prison. The Unsolved Mysteries team moves forward anyway, and the episode airs. Millions of viewers hear about this story for the first time, and they're asked to help solve the case. It's after this that the letters slowly stop coming in. The last known one arrives in March of 1994. That one comes from Columbus, too. Also in 1994, Paul is released on parole after 10 years in prison. He moves to a county not too far away and lives a quiet life, occasionally giving interviews and always maintaining his innocence. Mary Gillespie stays in Circleville. She drives her bus for many more years, never gives an interview, and never talks about the letters publicly. Some say she just wants to put it behind her and move on. Others think she knows more than she ever says. The police files still exist in stacks of documents and boxes marked Circleville. Thousands of pages, photocopies of every letter, maps with red lines drawn between addresses. But none of that ever answers the two big questions that really matter here. Who wrote these and why? Decades pass. The story doesn't. New residents still hear it from neighbors. Old postal workers avoid talking about it on camera. One says off the record that he recognized the handwriting every time it came through his route. But no one ever sees anyone dropping the letters off in a mailbox. Some people keep boxes in their attics with old clippings and copies of their letters, dates, postmarks, all that. They're not trying to solve anything anymore. They just don't want to forget that feeling like something outside the house knows everything about what goes on inside of it. And those secrets could arrive any morning in the mail. Today, Circleville looks like any other Ohio town. There's a main street with a few shops, that kind of thing. But locals who remember say the place never fully recovered. Some want to put it all behind them and never talk about it again. Others still check their mailboxes with a sense of trepidation, wondering if today is the day that a new envelope will be waiting for them. If you like this story, please share it, and for more, please follow me.